Welcome, everyone. Good morning. We're pleased to have you join us on this webinar for the East Bay Fund for Artists. This is Nicole Kayak with the East Bay Community Foundation. I'm joined by my colleague.
Janelle Coronado. Welcome, guys.
Great. So we're going to have time together to do a general overview of the East Bay Fund for Artists with ample time for questions. We'll be going over the eligibility, the process, the timeline, the match process, and again, have ample time for questions and answers. Great, so I'm going to go over the eligibility for the East Bay Fund for Artists. For organizations, you must be an organization located in the East Bay commissioning a Bay Area artist, so the artist can be located in Alameda, Contra Costa, San Francisco County, San Mateo County, Marin County, or you can apply as an individual artist living in the East Bay. You must have a fiscal sponsor, which does not have to be in the Bay Area. We welcome artists from all artistic disciplines to apply. If you're a filmmaker, you must have a budget under $50,000 or show other significant support for the project. As I reviewed, their eligibility for artists must not be artists that are international. It must be a Bay Area artist if you're an organization, or an East Bay artist if it's applying as an individual artist. Our full guidelines and application are all available online. We strive to have everything available online. If you need printed materials, feel free to email us and we can provide you with written materials. The link to our website is shown on the screen. It'll have the eligibility requirements for organizations and artists, a link to our frequently asked questions, our email address, a link to sign up for emailed announcements and news about the fund, and on the bottom we also have a link with examples of how to make your match. We were very fortunate to receive support to do a survey of individual donors who had given to the East Bay Fund for Artists in partnership with the San Francisco Foundation, and it includes specific examples of other grantees just like you on how to make your match. One of the common questions we receive is, should I apply as an organization or as an individual artist? We can certainly talk with you directly about some specific questions you might have. However, one of the things that we can help guide you is through a couple of questions to help you answer this question. Who is truly leading the work? Who is commissioning the project? And whose donor base is being expanded? What we're going to be asking you is who really is creating the work and leading the process. The next slide goes over the application checklist, which is also listed online. For organizations and artists, you'll see that the materials are very similar. We ask for an online cover sheet, which generates information directly. You don't have to print this out. The foundation will be doing this for you. A 2-page narrative, and the narrative is just 2 pages. That doesn't include the budget or timeline or resume. So the narrative limitation is 2 pages. A project budget, we have a template online that you may use, but it doesn't have to be. It's only if you don't have a template already. The project timeline, which would include the time period you plan to make them match, as well as the creation of new work. A copy of the artists who are being commissioned, their resume and artist statement, as well as a work sample with a description. If you're an organization, we ask for an organization budget, current year and previous year. And if you're an artist, we ask for the presenting venue letter of commitment, fiscal sponsor letter of commitment. And if it's a fiscal sponsor that we may not have worked with before, we ask for an organization budget from your fiscal sponsor. And feel free to email us if you have any questions. We're trying to be very transparent, and this is a panel process. And so the panel will be looking for creation of new work and support for individual artists. We'll be looking for a connection to your artistic practice and want to be very clear that the East Bay Fund for Artists funds and requests must be allocated to the lead artist that you're looking to commission. So we will be looking very specifically in your budget to be sure that the budget line item, the request amount, matches up with the amount that you're requesting. You certainly may be paying your lead artist more than $8,000, but as the EBFA match maximum amount is $8,000, the amount that we would match is up to $8,000. We want to be sure that that amount matches up with the budget line item that you have on your budget. The panel will also be looking for how you plan to expand and connect to your individual donor base. So we're looking to see how you plan to make the match, which should be outlined in your narrative. And we'll also be looking at how you plan to engage with the community and audience. So they'll be looking at the venue and also making sure that your budget is realistic. They're looking specifically to provide opportunities for communities of color to experience art that represents their culture and history, supporting a diverse array of artistic practices and organizations, and specifically those that are underrepresented in the arts field. When you're working on your artist statement, we'll be looking to see how this fits in with your artistic practice, specifically what's inspired you to create this work, and the audiences you plan to engage. And the lead artist is really the person whose new work is being created. The panel will be scoring applications, again, for those looking at a clear articulation of the project and how it aligns with the artist's artistic practice and creative development. As I mentioned, a demonstrated ability to complete the project, which will be articulated through your match plans, your budget, and the narrative, your plans to reach and engage your audience, and your plans to make the match, specifically the budget feasibility. With organizations, they'll also be looking at the rationale for selecting the artist and your ability to manage the project. We do request work samples, and this is really your opportunity to demonstrate your work to the panel. We know that the narrative isn't always able to fully articulate the work that you're doing. So we ask for 1 or 2 work samples for each lead artist. For video, we ask for it to be in .mp4 or .mov, no more than 3 minutes long, and we ask that you cue the video to the portion you'd like us to view. If it's a photo, we ask for 1 caption and photo per slide on a PowerPoint presentation so we can easily pull it together for the panel. It can be submitted via email, Dropbox, eSend it, Hightail, or by mail if postmarked by the deadline. And if you're mailing it to us, please let us know via email so we can anticipate the work sample. And we've gotten questions of what makes a good work sample. So we hope that the work sample you submit to us relates to the commission and is a way to provide context to the panel. It can represent your past work and hopefully will also give us a little bit of an insight of what you're hoping to create. We have instructions for the work samples online, but again, if you have questions, feel free to let us know. My colleague Janelle and I can assist you with uploading and receiving your videos that we will share with the panel. We want to share with you the timeline for the process. As you'll see on the screen, the deadline is February 1st, 2017 at 11:59 or at midnight, so all of your materials must be received via email by 11:59 p.m. We expect that we will notify everyone whether or not you receive funding or not by early April. And the time period to raise the one-to-one match must occur after notification. And we expect that this will be 90 days for organizations between about April to June, and 120 days for artists, April through July. For those that are submitting an organization application, you'll receive a spreadsheet which you can provide the names and contact information for your donors, and the spreadsheet is due a little after the 90-day period on July 20th, and for the artists who are applying, a little after the 100-day match period, August 19th. The grant will be processed to the nonprofit organization or fiscal sponsor within a month after you submit your match spreadsheet and a short survey. And again, the contact spreadsheet is only to acknowledge the match that is coming from the East Bay Fund for Artists. Your donors will not be contacted for any other method, and most acknowledgement will occur via email. For those of you who are just joining us, if you could mute your line, we'd greatly appreciate it. We'll be going through the presentation and answering questions after the presentation. So we'll continue on. we want to review making the match. We've been asked what gifts are eligible. The fund was created specifically to increase your individual fundraising capacity. So the gifts that are eligible for the match are individual gifts and maybe from family-run local small businesses. Again, that must happen after the notification. We will not match in-kind, foundation, government, or corporate gifts. We recognize that for some organizations, they might have a major donor who can match the $8,000 match. That really isn't the intent of the fund. The intent for this project really is to increase your individual donor base. And so in the narrative, we encourage you to really talk about how you plan to expand or increase gifts from individual donors who would be supporters to this new work and hopefully longtime donors in the future. We've been asked about tips on how to make the match. So we've surveyed grantees who've received funding in the past, and they've shared a couple of tips with us. They've said, start with people you know, connect on a personal level, tell a story people can relate to, leverage crowdfunding. This can be Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Hatch Fund, leverage social media, and we have East Bay Gives that is eligible for this. Use an event as a way to raise funds, and really leverage the match. We've been told time and time again that the East Bay Fund for Artists match was a way to activate and engage individual donors towards the fundraising strategy. Again, we have past grantee strategies on our website at the bottom of the page with a link. It's not about you, it's about them, which really clearly articulates strategies, stories, and ways other grantees have leveraged the match opportunity. Again, we encourage you to collect donor information. We've had grantees who did a pass the hat and didn't get information for individual donors. Unfortunately, those are not eligible. We want you to be able to contact, follow up, thank, and encourage those donors to attend future events. So make sure you collect their information. We've been asked what happens after you make the match. So as I mentioned, we'll ask you to submit a list of your donors to Ebcf. We will provide the template. So we'll contact them and thank them. However, we encourage you to do that as well. The fiscal sponsor is responsible for sending the letter for their tax deduction. We're just thanking them and acknowledging the match. There is a brief online survey, and we also ask you to confirm the date of your East Bay premiere, which is required within a year of making the match. It can be a work in progress. It must happen in the East Bay, but we invite you to keep us updated as we share the premiere list with our staff, our donors, and our board. One other question we get frequently is about fiscal sponsor, and a fiscal sponsor is required for all artists and any organizations who don't already have their own 501c3. Again, this does not have to be located in the East Bay, and we have a list of fiscal sponsor organizations on the presentation, which will go out to those that are on the call today. If we don't have your email, please follow up with us. We'll have the email listed at the end of the presentation so you can receive a copy. And if you would like more fiscal sponsor organization recommendations, we'd be happy to provide that to you. So you'll see Fractured Atlas, Selmarts, Intersection for the Arts, Dancers Group, Pro Arts, and as many local nonprofits are working in the East Bay, they provide sponsorship to a number of projects as well. So if you've worked with an organization closely, they might be willing to provide fiscal sponsorship for you as well. And a fiscal sponsor is the organization that will accept all contributions, manage acknowledgement letters for tax deduction purposes, the tracking, and financial record keeping. If you have additional questions, specific individualized questions, we're happy to talk with you directly. If you would like a complete fiscal sponsor list or list of potential venues, we have our email address, ebfa@eastbaycf.org. I wanted to provide a very brief overview of the East Bay Fund for Artists, but ample time for you to ask us any questions that you might have. So I'd like to open the floor, and Janelle's going to help us field some of the questions. And you can ask your question in the chat box or over the phone.
Okay, so thank you for that presentation, Nicole. We're going to go ahead and go over the first question from Dara Silverman. She's of Agile Resco, and her question is, Is my organization still eligible for the grant if we are based out of the East Bay, but serving communities that are outside of the Bay Area and even out of state?
So the piece that the panel is looking for, so the question is whether or not they're eligible if they are based in the East Bay but have communities that they're serving outside of the Bay Area. The piece that the panel is looking for is that the commission work in progress occur in the East Bay. Thanks for that question, Dara.
Second question from artist B. Jenkins, and V asks, wondering if an in-kind donation counts towards the matching funds requirement?
So in-kind donations will not count towards the matching funds requirement. The fund matches only individual donations. It may be a small business or family-run business. It will not include corporations, government grants, or foundation grants. And if you have specific questions, we welcome any questions to ebfa@eastbaycf.org.
We have a question from Sarah Gambia Belknap. And Sarah asks, if we have two lead artists, one a local resident and the other an international artist, can the EBCF be used for both artists or just the local artist?
Great question. Thanks, Sarah. This fund really is about supporting local artists. So the artist that is eligible is only the local Bay Area artists. If you're an organization, only Bay Area artists are eligible. If you're applying as an individual artist, only East Bay artists are eligible.
Great. Nancy Carr asks, what is the timeline for beginning and ending the project if funded?
So we ask that if you are funded, the work in progress occur within 1 year of making the match. So we recognize that some projects may take longer than a year, and that's okay. We ask that you tell us in your timeline that you submit to the panel, articulating what the timeline is for your project. So the project must not be finished before the match, but should take place within a year of the match process.
Great. Tamara Johnson asks, we are planning a project that is a collaboration between artists who work for the organization as staff and an outside artist ensemble. Can the grant pay for the artist fees for all of the artists?
A great question, Tamara. We get a lot of questions about lead artists and collaboratives. So for organizations that might be, say, an orchestra or a dance troupe, the fund will not cover all the dancers. It won't cover the full orchestra. It really is for the lead artist that may be the composer or the choreographer. For organizations that are looking to commission artists that are employees of an art organization, it should be for work that isn't already covered by their day-to-day job. So if they are getting paid by the organization to do the work already, then it wouldn't be eligible for this fund. It really is for commissioning of new work that would be above and beyond the work that they would do through the organization. Would be happy to talk with you further, Tamara, if you have specific questions around your particular scenario.
Awesome. A question from Arwen Lawrence from Cascada de Flores. Their question is, can fiscal sponsors be located outside of the East Bay?
Great question, Arwen. Yes, fiscal sponsors may be located outside of the East Bay, and we're happy to provide a fiscal sponsor list if you'd like one.
Another question from Layla Johnson of Agile Rascal Theater. Must all lead artists live in Alameda County?
So the lead, if you're applying as an individual artist, the lead artist must live in Alameda or Contra Costa County. If you're an organization, it can be in East Bay.
And folks, if you have any more questions, we're happy to address them in the chat box. Please feel free to go ahead and reach out at this time. Great. We have a question from Anne Huang, and her question is, what makes a good work sample? How recent does the work sample have to be?
So, good question. Thanks, Anne. The work sample is really up to you as an applicant to provide the panel the best example of your work, and it doesn't have to be recent. It really should align with what you're planning to commission to give the panel a sense of your artistic practice and tie in with how it will connect with what you're proposing, the creation of new work and expansion of your own artistic practice. Great. Well, I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Janelle and I are both available to answer any individualized questions you might have. Appreciate you spending time with us to learn more about the East Bay Fund for Artists. Encourage you to share this opportunity with colleagues, friends, and others in the arts field. We really are looking to expand this opportunity to those specifically in Contra Costa County. If you have any questions, our email address is on the slide, ebfa@eastbaycf.org. Certainly can give us a call as well before the February 1st deadline. Encourage you to contact us. We're happy to answer any questions you might have. Would like to thank Janelle for helping me this morning, and we'll also have this presentation available online as well, and encourage you to share the link with any friends and colleagues. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day.